welcome to Glass Half Full Reviews, Spoiler Edition! Today I will be discussing Noah in a little bit more spoilery detail. Now, Noah has a lot of very interesting elements that I just really liked. Now, one of the real controversial things was the appearance of the Watchers. Now, if you've seen the movie, which I hope you have if you're watching this video, is very odd. But the more you think about it, the more thematically it makes sense. It's these creatures that fell from heaven, and when they landed, they were encased by the ground, the earth. Not only was it a curse, it was a blessing. It was a way of saying, look, you are now a part of this system, and you can't escape unless you do something about it. That's why, at the end, the Watchers, they were so moved by being pulled back up to heaven because they're saying, oh, wait, just coming down here wasn't the problem. It was that we screwed them up. We helped screw them up. Basically, it was them saying, okay, now we're realizing our mistake. It wasn't helping humanity. It was helping them go down the wrong path. Now, in this interesting graphic novel, which is available online, the Watchers look a little bit different. They look more like giants. Now, if you look at the actual biblical text, there's this reference to giants or Nephilim or whatever you want to say, and Nephilim kind of means like those who fell. And there's a lot more of that, even more fantasy type there. Now, the Watchers had a kind of interesting stop-motion look to them, and yeah, that can be a little jarring when you compare it to the fluidity of the rest of the movie, the sort of pseudo-fantastical nature of things. But then compare it to the rest of it. You had the magical Zohar element, this magical stone that could do anything. It could shoot a gun. It could serve as a pregnancy test. That's a pretty significant difference. So, this movie really goes far down that fantasy realm. So I don't think it's that weird when you start thinking about it from that perspective. Really, then, the Watchers are just another mystical element. It's a sort of way of looking at things that takes what's in the text and just goes a different direction. Now, of course, one of the things that I mentioned in my spoiler-free review was the sequences that I thought were impressive. And now I'm just going to explain what I was talking about was when he gives the story of what's essentially written in the biblical text in Genesis, that there was evening and there was day in the 6 days, and then shows the entire course from the Big Bang and evolution, and then, of course, switches into humans as these sort of luminous beings. That's a combination of both the standard scientific theory and a more mystical cosmology. And that's a kind of an interesting approach, because you don't see that in many different religions, although there are plenty of modern ones that take that essentially as the idea that, yes, there was this Big Bang, of course, and there was evolution, but after that, we got to a certain point. Many modern-day religious scholars actually believe that the stories of the Garden of Eden and Noah are really only meant to be metaphor. And only once you start getting to people like Abraham and Moses do you actually supposed to take it as something that actually happened. Now, I'm not making any judgments here about what I or other people believe, but that is a common theory. Now, as for Aronofsky, I can't say to what he actually thinks, but I feel like we can definitely make some sort of guesses as to his opinions on things. Of course, Aronofsky was raised in a conservative Jewish household and now says that he is an atheist. What does that mean? It means that he has certain lessons embedded in his head that I think do come out in this movie. There's definitely elements of a sort of Kabbalistic idea that you see. The Zohar that is referenced, that's the name of a mystical text of the Kabbalists. I don't really feel like that's a coincidence. But anyway, the other part of that sequence I really loved was when he was talking about Cain killing Abel, and you see the reflection, the mirroring throughout time of people killing each other over and over again, and showing how this is a crime that echoes throughout humanity because it's just something that we do. It's a part of who we are, and it's not something we can escape. And I think that's another lesson of the movie, is that there's darkness in all humans, but there's also goodness. Noah is not 100% righteous. He doesn't always make the right decision. Perhaps he could have saved more people. He had an opportunity to save that girl that Ham had rescued, but he didn't. He didn't save her, but he could have. And is that the right decision? I think it wasn't, but I think that's what the movie is trying to say, is that Noah thought God wanted all humans to be gone. But no, that's not what it was. It was, let's try again. Let's get rid of all of these bad influences. Let's just give humanity a chance to just try it by themselves again. None of that Zohar, none of the Watchers. They're going to be on their own this time. Some people have complained about this sort of horror movie second or third act of Noah, and I think that's ridiculous, because I think the real struggle is Noah with himself. And yes, we do see some of that mirrored in these other people. Tubal-Cain is a reflection of how bad humanity can get. He's a corrupting influence that everyone has to get past. And I think it is very, very critical that Noah finally says, I can't do it. And not only that, you show why. It makes sense that he would be drunk off his ass after the end of it. Of course he gets drunk. Most of the world is dead. He doesn't even know if he did what God wanted him to do. So yes, there are a few little bits and pieces that are kind of troublesome at times, Well, why does everyone kind of look very Caucasian? Well, I don't really know. Maybe that's something that the studio pushed down. Maybe it isn't. I can't really speak to that. All I can speak to is the movie that we got. And the truth is, I really like this movie. Was it as good as Aronofsky's best? No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that you definitely put The Wrestler at the top. And after that, you could put The Black Swan. Probably after that, I'd say as a tie between Noah and Requiem for a Dream. After that, The Fountain. And then after that is Pi. Not to say I don't like Pi, because I do. But it was an early effort from him, and I think he definitely improved as he kept going. In general, I recommend all his movies, just as movies. Yes, The Wrestler is the most mainstream movie, and sure, The Black Swan is probably the most fetishistic. But that being said, I think Noah can definitely have a sort of epic fantasy feel. Don't expect it to be 100% literal to the Christian Bible. That's not the point. The point is to tell an interesting lesson. And for me, that still makes it a recommendation, if you can take it, because it can be kind of intense at times. Thanks for stopping by.